welcome to Ripple Effect TV. I'm Chana Wilshansky, your host, and today I am so honored to have Kerstin Brinson with us. She is an Inner Circle and Owners Only HQ member, and she's here as our first guest. Now, Kirsten joined us at the Summit of Excellence in 2019, and she'll also be part of our Owners Only Mastermind in January. And even though I only know her for just a little bit more than 6 months, I actually feel like I've known her for forever. And she's really taken the systems and the strategies from our School of Excellence system and created her own frameworks and just really seen a powerful transformation in her culture. So I'm so honored to have you here today, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Chana Wilshansky, mama of 4 and creator of the School of Excellence system. And I'm on a mission to help early childhood leaders build and sustain schools of excellence. So if you want to create a collaborative culture, build efficient systems in your school, and design an environment that can grow your team, then you're in the right place. In the last 15 years that I've been working in the early childhood field, I've become deeply passionate of helping leaders with their mindset, their skills, the tools, and the strategies to build their schools. So each week, I'll share strategies, advice, coaching, and inspiring interviews. I know that you want to create a ripple effect in your school and your life. So let's do this together.
So I'd love to get started with you just telling everyone just a little bit about yourself and the leadership role that you play in your school.
Okay, so I started out in early childhood when I was 14. I would come in after school and change diapers. I was like the head diaper changer. I would go from classroom to classroom and change all the teachers' diapers, which sounds crazy, but I loved it. And I just knew at that point that I wanted to work with kids, like a lifetime of working with children. And so I kind of moved up the ranks. You know, one minute you're the toddler teacher, and then you're the preschool teacher, and now I'm the AD. So what I do now is I am the executive director of 2 locations in downtown Seattle. We have 180 children, 50 staff, and a leadership team of 7. So I oversee both programs, but more from like a 5,000 feet up level. I have 2 on-site directors, and they manage both of their programs, and then they have an assistant director and a programmer. I also have a director of operations as well, who handles like the financial side of the business, billing, ARs, those kind of things. And I work a lot on the mentoring, coaching, leading the team, executive function, partnering with parents, and I work with our owners to ensure that the school really is following the trajectory of what they want to see, and they've owned it for 30 years. And so they've put a lot of time and energy into the schools as well. So that's kind of what I do and how I got here. And I love both of our schools. I love them.
Awesome. Yeah. And so you have a tremendous leadership role. There's a lot on your plate. There's a lot of decisions that you need to be making. When I think of as we move up the ladder of leadership, there's more and more decisions, and the decisions that we make have a greater ripple effect on all of the people that work under us, next to us, or even above us. And so when you came to the summit, I spoke a lot about the gratitude matrix and just the power and what it's really all about. And I want you to share with us, like, when you first heard about it, what were you kind of thinking? What lens were you looking at it from? And where are you today?
So when I found you, honey, I found you in my Facebook feed. So, you know, I'm in my Facebook feed, and I must have clicked and my cookies got caught, and all of a sudden, bam, here's all this School of Excellence and honey and New York, which I live in Seattle, and that is so different, like other side of the world. But I started to really get hooked in. I started watching some of the videos that you have on Facebook, and I was really hooked into a lot of the power of what you were saying and teaching and modeling. And, you know, I just bought into it. So we decided to go to the conference. Your conference was not budgeted for us. It was I really think that we should go to this. We need to see this person. And so when I commit to something, I'm all in. So I watched all the videos on your Facebook, like all 99, because if I'm going to pay all of that money to go, I am sure going to know what the heck I am signing up for. And we had been going through a lot of staff turnover, call outs, just like some organizational change. We built our second center very quickly, 9 months after I arrived to take over the first center that had been there for 30 years. An opportunity came for us to build our second center. And it happened so quickly, and building a center is tough.
Yep.
And we had 30 days to turn that center from, we took it from the owners, we're gonna renovate it, and we're gonna open it and get it through licensing, which is also tough. And so I think we had some bumps and bruises from that. Like we were trying to fill a center, and I wouldn't say that we were necessarily putting all of our eggs in the right basket to build culture. And we were feeling that by the call outs and just the emotional conversations and teachers coming in and draining us.
Yeah.
And so when I had gone to the conference, we had just come off of a pretty rough exit interview that just left everyone feeling raw, and I didn't have very much gratitude for anyone. I was really like, whatever, I don't even want to do this anymore. This is too much. And so when you were explaining the gratitude matrix and going through everything at the conference, I really was like, yeah, right. That is not going to change our company, my mind, how I behave as a leader. I didn't believe it. But as we sat there in the conference more and more, I really just was like, okay, I did not watch 99 videos to just not believe what she's saying. We have to try this. We have to. And so we really dug in, like I dug in when I got back and really just said, guys, we got to try this.
I love that. So the first thing that I wanted to share here for those of you that are watching now, is we all come to different parts of our crossroads in our lives where we can choose to hold on to a specific mindset and belief that may have served us up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also choose to say, like what Kirsten did, I need to give this a shot. I'm ready to bet on myself. Meaning, I'm also ready to bet that it might not work out. Because you didn't know, like you didn't know what was really going to happen. You were going on what I had shared, what other people had shared, and just other stories, but you didn't know if it was going to work for you. And really, I find that that's one of the strongest limiting moments when people are at these crossroads where they need the proof. Is it going to work for me? Girlfriend, only if you try will you know if it's going to work for you. So I love that you took that bet on yourself. And so tell us a little bit about some of the data around the call outs and using the gratitude matrix and what the turnaround was from doing that.
Sure. So I'm a pretty strategic person, and I like to just understand the data before we make decisions. So when we came back, people use the term turnover and all of that pretty loosely, but I didn't really know what was our actual percentage of turnover. And so that was an important thing for me to quantify. So we went back with the director of operations, and I just had her pull all of the why were people terminated? What did they quit? Was it a no-show, a walkout? Like what happened? And then we really boiled it down to what was our percentage in the last 3 years that we've been here? And then what do we want it to be? And so using the gratitude matrix and just like thinking, okay, well, if we are filling into their buckets, are we going to see a reduction in I made an entire pie graph. We had graphs. We went through this whole training with our managers. Like, how are we going to see this reduce? There was a year where we were at like 31% turnover. And I was like, it's just not acceptable, you guys. We are doing something wrong, and we have to figure out what we're doing wrong. 31% is not industry standard, and it's not our standard. So how are we going to reduce this? I feel like sometimes as directors, you get yourself into a rut where you tell yourself, well, everybody has call outs.
Exactly.
Well, everybody has walkouts. Well, that's just our industry.
Or the industry standard is this percentage.
Yes, but it's not going to be my story.
Yes.
And so I really focused on let's get the data and then let's all commit to really using gratitude as the backbone of how we are going to conduct ourselves as leaders. So that's kind of how we got started first.
Yeah. And so can you share with us just some of the numbers? Because again, well, everyone might not like to create the pie graphs and the line charts and all that. I think a lot of people like to know the numbers and kind of, so I'm curious if you could share with us even just a little bit about that.
So the year that I started here, we cleaned house because, you know, you're coming in and you're taking over. And so that always creates a lot of change. And so that year we were at, I think that was the year we were at 31. And then the following year we were at 27 because when you open a new center, again, those stories that you tell yourself, oh, well, it's really hard to find the right match. We just opened a center. The culture wasn't set. No, we just lost 27%. Like, that's just the real reality of it. This year we're at 21%. And 21% is like, I'm okay with 21, but I'd like to shoot for 17 next year. I'd like to drive it down. 21 is probably around industry standard. But I want to run a school of excellence. And so maybe I don't want to be industry standard, was how I was really working on laminating the idea with the management team that we have to go the next level in order to be below industry standard.
So the industry standard is actually 30%. So yeah, so you're actually like 10% lower than industry standard. But what I always tell everyone also is like, be the outlier when it comes to industry standards. Like, be the outlier, be the person who's like at 15%, at 10, like be that person. So I love that your percentages just went down in that way. And I'm curious to know also, I know that you took how many call outs you had in July.
Yeah.
And then how many you had 30 days later with consistent implementation of the gratitude matrix?
We did. So we started to quantify call outs. And the way that we used to allow the employees to text out. So we just created new standards. So now they have to call me. Because I think that calling and actually calling me and having a conversation creates a different effect of, you know,
why?
Because I'm sure that it's a little bit harder to dial my phone number at 5 in the morning than to pick up your phone and text.
Yeah.
So we really sat down and said, have we created a culture where it's easy to call out? Are we allowing them? Because we also don't want our phones to ring. And so then the managers were really going through that, like, oh, it's hard to take a call out at 5. And I was like, guys, I'll do it. It's fine. I'll be that person because I wanted to support the managers as well. But I also know what the driving results will be. And if we are fulfilling the gratitude side of it and we are filling their buckets, I'm not going to get that many calls. And right now we're in December. I think this month I got 3 calls the whole month because
ladies, 3 call outs. People listening, please, 3 call outs in the month.
They just don't call because, number one, they respect that I'm at home with my family, but also too, we are pouring into them. And so they'll come in and they'll be like, well, I have a headache, but it wasn't worth calling out. It's fine. I'll be fine. Now, I want them to call out if you are genuinely sick. By all means, don't bring that to the school. But we also know that sometimes people call out because they're just burnt out or they want to use a sick day. And I've told all of the staff, if you are burnt out, let's have a conversation. Let's look at the calendar and see when I can get you a day off versus you text out the morning of and tell me you have diarrhea. You know, like I want you to be honest and transparent that you're feeling a little burnout and you need a day off versus I get 40 call outs in a month. That part I can't deal with. It's not effective in our business.
So I want to unpack 2 things that you said and kind of really pull this out because I want people to really understand this. So the first part you said is we created a standard around call outs. Now I know at the Summit of Excellence, we started unpacking what are standards, how do we create them, how do we choose what standards. And so what's interesting is that was one of the standards that you created. after the summit. So can you just explain to us what that standard is?
Yeah. So the standard for us changed from, it also revolves around Washington state laws, and we have sick laws and sick pay, and there's just a lot of great things that happen for employees in Washington. But the standard for our company is that you have to, if you are sick the night before, you have to call me by 8 p.m. My phone cannot ring after 8 p.m. Out of courtesy for myself. And my phone cannot ring before 5 a.m. And then you have to literally have a conversation with me. I do not accept texts. I do not accept voicemail. You have to continue to call until we have a conversation. And I rolled that out to all of the team. First with the mentor teachers, which are lead teachers. We have mentor teachers, so they could really understand that the standard was changing. And then we rolled it out to the all of the school. Like, we owe it to the children and the parents and each other to be considerate. And that for me is where I really wanted to drive that home, that don't you want to work in a place where we're considerate of each other? And calling before 5 a.m. is not considerate, and calling after 8 p.m. is not considerate. However, I will 100% talk to you about whatever's going on with your life. If you need to call out, I just need to talk to you about it.
I love this piece of the conversation.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge distinction, because text and voicemail and email are cowardly approaches to not showing up. And when I think about a school of excellence that's living with integrity, of someone who steps up even when it's uncomfortable, and having a conversation with your boss when you want to call out is uncomfortable. And that's where you came in from. Are we making it too easy for them to call out? And that's what you created the standard from. I love just the alignment that you created there.
Yeah, I mean, it has helped so much, because I'm not a fearful leader. I don't believe that they're fearful. I just think it's uncomfortable. And it should be uncomfortable. You're dipping out on your shift. So that should be uncomfortable for you. And so, now we're actually in 2020, we're changing our arriving to work policy. Late. You can no longer text and say, oh, my bus is 20 minutes late. You have to call me and tell me when you're late. And I suspect that our lates will go down as well.
Yep, 100%.
It's so easy to hide behind technology. It's so easy to just say, oh, I'm going to be late, and then you stop at Starbucks and get a coffee. But when you walk in with that coffee after I've already had a conversation about your bus being late, that's probably going to look a little different for you. And so we're evolving on our own practices and standards as we move forward.
I love it. So can you share with us, I think the number was in July, you had 17 call outs? And
July, yep.
Yeah, you share.
Yep, no, you're fine. We had 17 call outs that month, and we were like drowning. I mean, you also, because in our state, a sub pool is really hard because it alters how many employees we already have. We're already at 50. We're teetering on new tax brackets. So we have to maintain some of those things. And so we just don't have a sub pool. And so when you call out, you're just leaving us in the dust. Yep. And so we were at 17, and then every month we started to drive down. The only month that we saw an increase again was when we had a huge norovirus kind of flu breakout. That is understandable, and that is explainable on a data sheet. We can say, hey, we went through a whole center illness, and what swept through the whole center. But for this month to be so low was okay, it's working. You guys, it's really working.
It's December. It's flu season. It's cold season. Everyone's sick. Everyone's kids are sick. And most people see an influx in December, January, February time. So just the fact that you're keeping it so low shows how committed you've been to the practice.
When my phone rings now, I'm surprised.
Yes.
That's oh, somebody's calling out. And I'm not resentful, because I know you're probably really sick. Yeah. So that has alleviated that oh, not again. And so I think it's just also changed how we view call outs as a management team. That has changed for us.
And what's also interesting is the way, the experience of you as a leader and how you step into work in the morning is dramatically different than it was 6 months ago, because when most leaders wake up, the first thing they do is they check their phone to see how many call outs are coming in this morning. And for you, you're surprised when the phone rings because it's like, oh, someone's actually calling out now.
Yeah.
So coming to work is filled with more joy and more purpose and gratitude of like, I get to see all my staff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I love that. And what I want people to understand who's watching is this isn't an evolution of like 10 years. This is 6 months of committed, dedicated work, like doing the work. I did not sprinkle fairy dust on Kirsten, and now all of a sudden her school is like that. She has applied the principles and done the actual hard work that is connected to it. So I'd love for you to share just a little bit more before we wrap up here. What else has really transformed, or how else have you really seen the ripple effect from the gratitude, besides for the latenesses and the call outs and retention, which is huge? I shouldn't say besides, I should say in addition to those, what else have you seen?
The other thing that I really started to work on was creating gratitude challenges each week for all the managers. So every week I have a new gratitude challenge that I send out to all of my managers, and I have them programmed into my calendar so that it reminds me, hey, make sure you send out your gratitude challenge. And I've designed them especially so that it is like 1 week, I'll ask the managers, can you write 5 cards? And you could pick 5 employees that you want to write cards to. The next week, maybe it's, hey, could you go buy all of your closers coffee this week and tell them, thank you for being a closer. We know this is the position that everybody tries to get out of, but I want to say thank you so much because we have to have closers. Maybe the next week I will say to them, hey, why don't you go buy, a gift for your AD? Or, hey, will you go around and put Post-it notes inside everyone's teacher closets so that when they open their teacher closet, there's a Post-it note, they start out their day well. So I really have spent time trying to divide it up evenly. And then what I do is I do a waterfall effect. So if I send it to my ADs, 1 week, the ADs might get 5 cards. And then the next week, it will be my programmers get the 5 cards. And then the next week, so it's like we're waterfalling on the gratitude throughout the center. So different sets of, or types or departments of managers are doing different gratitude. So there's a lot of different gratitude happening throughout the center, and it doesn't just feel generic for staff that like, oh, this week is card week, they wrote us all cards. Oh, this week is coffee week. It's very layered intentionally with a waterfall effect, so that every single week somebody somewhere, and it doesn't mean every week you're going to get gratitude, but it's very layered so that there's something happening in some room, in some place with intention.
So the key here is intention, right? So it's like Kirsten was just saying, like, it's not, oh, everyone got lip glosses this week, or everyone got purses, or everyone got massages. And I'm not poo-pooing on lipsticks and massages and all kinds of stuff like that. I think it's very nice when a school has the budget to buy lipsticks and $100 massages per teacher. That is not how you reduce turnover. Mm-hmm. That is not how you decrease call-outs by having massive budgets. You come with such a focus of intention in the way that Kirsten's showing up, and 99% of what she's doing doesn't even cost any money. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is the real power in the ripple effect of the gratitude matrix. Yeah. Can you tell us, just sprinkle in a little bit about how sarcasm and gossip has really diminished as well in your center? I know we had a conversation about that a little while back.
Yeah. So one of my centers was a little bit toxic as far as a lot of big emotions. I mean, I felt like it was always like someone was in the office dumping on us, or someone was always like, hey, did you hear? And it was just like, oh my Lanta, you guys. But what we have noticed, especially 100% in one of our centers, is the culture has done a 180. Like the gossip is almost eradicated. We don't hardly ever have anyone come in and say, can I talk to you for a second about this? And it's like so dramatic and kind of like, wow. It's very, like, we also implemented the standard of after the conference of you have to come with a problem with 2 solutions. So we've really like, it's about gratitude, and it's also about having really solid standards.
Yep.
And really like pairing those together so people know what is expected. And that culture has just, all of my managers in that building are like, something's changing. And I was like, you guys, I hate to say this because I was the biggest skeptic, but I think it's the gratitude. Because that's really what we've changed, is the standards and the gratitude, and taking what we've learned from you and putting into application, but not in a, let's just get it done, let's throw it out there, in very slow, methodical changes so that it feels intentional, versus we came back from a conference and we're just gonna do all of this. We're like very aligned with how we're rolling it out.
I love that. What I find so interesting is when people actually feel the difference of like, okay, something's different here. Like that's the ripple effect right there. Like something's really different, and I feel better about coming to work, and I feel more grateful about where I'm working.
And if my managers, just, you know, like another thing to share is if I forget to send out a challenge, the managers will email me and say, hey, do we have a challenge this week? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I just didn't get to it yet. So, you know, I think that they also, and I even asked them, I was like, for 2020, do you guys want to do your own challenges, or do you still want me to give you the challenge? And they were like, no, we like it when you do it. We want you to like drive this for us and remind us and keep us on track. So I think that is, I went back to them to get feedback, and I was really like, okay, all right,
yeah,
we're gonna do this.
Yeah. And what I want to close here before I ask you my final question is, so many times we get trapped in the concept that massive changes or decreasing turnover, or, you know, decreasing call outs or eliminating gossip require massive overhaul and huge changes and, you know, cleaning shop and all of that. And really it's been the systematic, intentional approach of the gratitude matrix, which is a universal concept. I didn't create the concept of gratitude. I organized it in a way where this is how we can show our staff we value, we appreciate them, and I see you. More than anything, I see you, I appreciate you. So Kirsten, let us know what, we always like to end every episode with the ripple effect challenge. What ripple effect challenge can you give our listeners today?
I think for me, what I would challenge anyone is, don't be afraid to just say to yourself, I need help, or I need to find a better way. I need to be willing to take a risk. Like I remember sitting on the patio, having lunch up at the summit, and literally telling my owner, you know, I think I need to join the inner circle because I feel like I'm in a boat all by myself. I need people to bounce ideas off of. I need to be able to buy into something. I'm managing 50 people by myself. I don't know that that is physically possible. We need to change our framework. And for me, that's when the gratitude really sunk in. Like that's when everything I was learning at the summit was like, that was my point of, we just came off this exit interview that hurt. I mean, it was brutal. And it was like, oh my gosh, am I failing? I'm not an exceller. Like I am just that girl. And I was like, okay, I need something different. And just like taking a chance on what you learn and driving it down. My challenge for your viewers would be take a chance, like say to yourself, what am I missing in my life that's gonna make it so that I excel, or change the direction of the ship? And that's where I felt like I was on that rooftop. I was just like, something's got to give, guys, and I think this is it. And so that's what we did. We did the gratitude and we drove it out, and I feel like it has changed me even as a leader. It has changed who I am. It's even changed like who I want to be. And so that for me is what I would challenge your viewers to just like dig deep. Why are they watching this channel? You know, when I was watching 99 videos, I clearly was going to do something. I was searching for something, and I locked into it, and then I did it. So I would say that would be my challenge.
I love that. And Kirsten, I just want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you for being part of what the mission of Ripple Effect TV is about, which is to create a ripple effect in your school, in your life. And so thank you for being part of the School of Excellence mission, which is to really have that ripple effect on yourself and your families, on the teachers, and ultimately the children, which are the future generation of leaders. So thank you for joining us here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you like this video, make sure to subscribe using the bell so that you get notifications when we release videos twice a week.